starting? Alright. You know what, before I start, I'm going to take my inhaler. That's what I'm going to do. I might cough, so give me a second here, gang. But hello and welcome back to Tankerberry Does Meme. Hopefully you are all doing alright and staying safe. And in today's episode we're doing some trans memes. Sorry about that. I was just taking my inhaler there. Alright, let's get into this, I tell you. Let's get into this. Sorry about the delayed beginning there, I tell you. Alright. So, let me reset secondary device. What time are we actually at for Stream Cafe Tulip season? We're at... We only got 10 minutes left. You know what? I'll rewind that. Alright, we're gonna jump into where we last left off. We're reading through different trans people's stories, and we're now on to the second part. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I burped there, do apologise. 8. So we'll get into reading this now. Some of it might be cut out because when I zoom in it kind of cuts off a little bit. But we'll read this first. This is by Tiger Girl Tale. I grew up in the 90s when every depiction of a trans person was an object of horror or mockery. When I started noticing myself relating to the opposite gender, it was a source of shame. It took until I was 36 for me to fully accept that I am a trans woman, and another few years to unpack the sorrow of losing so much time. I got there in the end, though I'm about to turn 40, and I'm living as my true self, full time. Let this be a lesson that it is never too late. True. It is never too late, gang. Remember that. I was raised in a religious family that were queer-phobic, so I didn't figure out I was queer till I was 16, and I realized I was a trans guy a year later. I had to work through the internalized transphobia to fully accept myself, and art was one of the ways I did that. I view my gender as somewhere between a man and non-binary, or demi-boy, to put a label on it. And while I prefer to dress masculine, I like to experiment with stereotypical feminine things. Currently I'm socially transitioning and out to most of the people important in my life. And that is Darcy Spidey. Darcy is Spidey. That is a pretty cool name, to be honest. I'm transgender, shocker of shockers. I know, but back when I was a child, it would have been one. I never knew this was an option, that these were the words that described me, that described the feelings I felt then. And now I was never allowed to explore these feelings when I was young. I was screamed at for far less. Even now, those in my life do not know. But they don't matter. The people that need to know do. And I'm fine with that. I've been asked if it's hard or scary to be this. The answer is yes. But more than anything, I would hate not knowing, not being aware of who I am, more than what comes from knowing. I repeat this, not to wax my lips were getting a bit dry there. I'm reading wrongs now. I'm reading it wrong now. But because this is my truth, this is my life. I am Chloe Ann, and I am transgender. Nobody can take this from me. Oh. Chloe trans... You know what, I'm trying to read this, it's the most hardest thing to read. But you probably know, it's probably easier for you to find that. Hopefully one of you can read it. Alright. I didn't live the first 20 plus years of my life. I watched from far away. As far as I knew, boys didn't become girls. You had one chance and I missed it. I thought to myself, half of the people get to be girls, but I failed the coin toss. So I resigned myself to maleness, and I had no attachment or love for it. Wasn't something I wanted. It was something that was forced upon me. Biblical accurate moth. In the absence of the life I wish I could have lived, I spent years living inside of fantasies, telling stories, creating daydreams and worlds within my imagination, understandable, where I could live as a girl I so desperately wished that I was. I conjured stories of magic and wonder, adventures through time and space, where, by one or another, I was granted the femininity that I felt I had been denied by happenstance. Sorry, I have to clear my throat every once in a while. I remember those fantasies for far clearer than real life, understandable, that I was living. I lived my days less as a participant in existence and more a observer, catching parting glances of reality in between hours of vibrant fantasy. In that way, I was a ghost within my own life. My own narrative was haunted by visions of the woman I thought I could never be. Thinking back now, that was the person I am watching, the person I was. Now those wonderful colours, the beautiful life, is finally something I can hold in my two hands. The world has colour again, outside of daydreams. You know what, go check out Biblical Accurate Moth. That is that is some story, that's what I will say. Also understandable story, relate to it. As a kid, I escaped every chance I could into my imagination, into books and comics and fantasy stories, anything that would help me hide from my life. One day, in a local library, I found the issue of a comic about a martial artist named Ranma. Alrighty, think I know where this is going. Who was cursed to become a girl anytime he touched cold water. The comic forced on Ranma's quest to end his curse. I remember wondering, why would anyone want to end such an amazing thing? Why wouldn't you just want it to be permanent? That moment to me was a turning point. I realized more and more that the maladaptive daydreams were to cushion me from the idea that I would be a boy for the rest of my life. My fantasies had always been ones of transformation, of change into a me I didn't think I could ever be. I just wanted to be a girl every day, every moment, burned with the desire to be a woman, to become the me I knew I was inside. Though it took many years of fighting, of discovery and reflection, my curse was finally over. I can finally be me. Not a mimic. You know what? I've seen that many stuff with this person, but that is a good story, I tell you. That is a good story. I like when they have happy ends. Though it's always sad when, there is the sad endings. Like, sometimes it's not easy. It will never be, 100% easy. But might as well at least pave the roads to make them more walkable for the rest of the people to come along them. That's what I will say. I didn't have a word for it at first. I just knew by age 5 that I hated being forced into gendered boxes. I wished you know what? I remember. Sorry, I'm gonna bring up a story now. I remember it was you would have to pick either. Well, you had to pick what gender you were, and they changed red and blue around of, the bathroom passes. You had to take this to the bathroom, so everyone knew you were going to the bathroom. And I remember there was red and blue, and they changed genders. I could not read, but I always picked red because, the red one was nice, it turns out that was the female one, you know. I don't think... I think it was only like years and years later. Dang. Didn't realise how long ago that was. Didn't realise how long ago that was, that memory of, you know, taking the hall pass, you know, for going to the bathroom. Dang, I'm old now. I'm old now. But I always hated those little, you know, what do you call it, thingies, because I loved the colour red at the time. So obviously I would want the red one. But no, that was for girls. You had to have the blue one. Terrible. I wished I could just exist about the expected gender performance. Now I'm just getting reminded of that priestess, we would call it. Priestess. That was, you know, non-binary. And I think it was Iran or something, I'm not sure. But it was like ancient, you know, times, and like, why can't we have ancient, you know, non-binary people? Like, why do we just have to, you know, accept... You know what, my brain's farting now. Like, why can't we just have the non-binary gender priestess, you know? I don't under... Is there really a gender-neutral word for priests, like priestess, priest? I don't think there really is a gender-neutral word for it. Someone better make a word out there for that. It's really annoying, I tell you. Priestess, priest. Prostist. There, new word. Prostist. It sounds just so stupid. I tell you, it sounds so stupid. By the time I was going through puberty, it had grown into resenting the very concept of gender. I found the label neurotrosis, and that was the first gender label that ever felt right, that ever felt mine. And the moment I truly felt that weight lift was when I came to realize I am gender fluid. I didn't hate the boxes, but the force that tried to trap me inside. I needed to be allowed to explore, change, flow and fly. Nowadays I use non-binary and gender fluid and neutrosis. Phases are beautiful. Never be ashamed of questioning and journeying. Sometimes we need phases to discover who we are and break free from other people's gravity. Ashen Vulture. You know what, that was pretty good. How long did that take me to go for? 13 minutes. We're already at 13 minutes. I'm sorry, gang. That one bit took me so long. I actually choked there. Oh, that felt so weird. Alright, so I'm gonna end off there and I'll restart. I'll see yous in a minute. If you're on the stream side. If you're on YouTube side, I'll see you next episode. See you. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Have a good one. Miss, need to go back. That's very important. I'm really seeing some of the CCs.